Don't wait for perfection's crown. You wither while the stars burn down. Some of the strongest voices rose from the roots, from the throes. Crawl out from the shadows deep. Let your scars be the vows you keep. Your mess is a lantern cracked but true. A blaze in the dark is waiting for you. Don't stay broken, don't stay small. Document the climb, show us it all. From the mud to the mountain, the lotus grew. Now the echoes calling back to you. Why not you? Stand up, speak fire, break through. Why not you? The world is waiting for the storm inside you. Why not you? Your scars, your flame, your view. If not now, then who? Bury the jargon, kill the disguise. Speak with the tongue of the simple and wise. Don't be a mirror of someone else's song. Your edges are where we belong. Authenticity spreads like flame. Permission flows when you drop the game. Be the original, fierce and true. The key fits the lock when it's carved by you. Don't play healer, don't play saint. Stay in your lane, don't paint what you ain't. Innovate, ignite, speak it fresh, speak it new. The universe is hungry for the sound of you. Stand up, speak fire, break through. The world is waiting for the storm inside you. Your scars, your flame, your view. If not now, then who? You're the one the silence calls. Who the hell are you? A voice that can break the walls. If told to die, imitate more. Once stood shaking at the door. Then what are you trembling for? Why not you? Stand up, speak fire, break through. Why not you? The world is waiting for the storm inside you. Why not you? Your scars, your flame, your. Why not you? If not now, then who? Why not you? Stand up, speak fire, break through. Why not you? The world is waiting for the storm inside you. Your scars, your flame, your. If not now, then who? Don't wait, don't fade, don't stay small. We'll be rocking you. Why not you?
Hello. Welcome to this live edition of the Shaman Patrick Show. Hello, 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 hello. I'm so glad that you're here. You know, my dream is to make the Shaman Patrick Show a live show. That's my dream. That's my dream. I would love to do it live. So, thank you for helping me move towards that goal. So let's get started with today. Today's topic is about decomplicating spirituality, decomplicating it, getting stupid about it, getting simple about it. And, you know, I know that some of the things that I say might make people feel some type of way. I know this. But a shaman is going to think about things differently. And I love your questions and I love your feedback. And I want you to know that I don't think I'm special and I don't think I'm unique. But I am a shaman, and I'm going to have a different view of things in the world. So I do want to start today's episode by talking about that, a shaman's point of view, the way a shaman sees the world. And I do think it's important to talk about. Hello, Natalie, and hello, Marit, and hello, Swarm. So good to see you. So I was just going to tell you guys how I see the world. I was just going to tell you. But, this information is out there. When I was initiating as a shaman, I would just tell people like, I'm becoming a shaman, thinking that they would look that up, that they would say, oh, what's a shaman? Because people, this is the craziest thing. People look up everything. People look up, like at that time, I couldn't have dinner or a conversation with somebody about anything. But, when I said, I'm becoming a shaman, and they would say, what's that? And I would say, look it up. They couldn't. That was like, for some reason, it was like, they just could not look it up. Isn't that crazy? Because you could look things up. So I'm curious about the things that people are blocked about. Just blocked. Just can't do it. Hello, Autumn. Good to see you, Autumn. But just can't do it. So if you want to know the way that a shaman views the world, for some of you, I don't have to explain. I know that, but I do feel it's necessary to talk about. So I Googled it. I Googled it, and there's a wonderful AI overview, and it is how I see the world. And so I want to talk about that. Shamans think differently from a typical Western secular mindset due to their core belief system, which views the world as animated by spirits and energy. Their worldview is holistic and interconnected, built around the ability to enter altered states of consciousness to communicate with non-ordinary realities. And the communication with the non-ordinary reality is so very important, because we shamans will have our fingers and our feet in a little few different realities at the same time. And if anybody has questions during this part, please, I love questions. So I might be in, like, part of me might be in one dimension and another part of me will be in another dimension. And that kind of shit is very difficult to explain. And, I posted that meme this week about, just judge me, and I know that some of you really like that meme, like, I don't want to explain it. So just judge me. So, but I noticed, in dealing with certain family members and maybe some friends, there are people who know I'm a shaman, and they know that I'm going to see things differently. They know I'm going to have this vision of reality that's not necessarily based in reality. Many of you also have this thing going on with you. And many of you you might see the world the way a shaman does. And many of you might be shamans as well. So the spiritual interconnectedness, unlike a modern individualistic view that separates humans from nature, shamans see all beings, places, and things as part of a single interconnected web of spiritual energy. This includes not just people and animals, but also plants, rocks, and places. And they believe that a disruption in one area of this web can affect the whole system. Absolutely. Things getting out of balance. And, some people might think that I turn a blind eye to some things, or say that things are not all that important. And there's not a whole lot going on that's worth freaking out about. There's really not. And if there was something worth freaking out about, I would let you know. You'll hear it. I'll post about it. Y'all can freak out now. Y'all can freak out now. It's time to freak out. And I promise you, I will let you know. Natalie says, oh, thank you for the song. Why not you, Patrick? I meant to leave a comment and just remembered. Honey, that's okay. That is okay. I felt your appreciation. But let's talk about the perception of illness and healing. Shamans do not view illness solely as a biological problem to be treated with medicine. They see it as a disruption in a person's spiritual balance. For example, some traditions view conditions like depression or trauma as a soul loss, where a part of a person's spirit has become separated from their body. Healing, therefore, involves retrieving this lost soul part and restoring spiritual harmony, often in addition to using natural remedies. Absolutely. Can y'all hear me okay? Can y'all hear me okay? Usually I have to boost the microphone when I record videos, but I think you guys can hear me. So yeah, I don't believe like external factors make you sick. Like I don't believe that viruses or I don't believe all that stuff makes you sick. I think you get sick and then you attract those things to you. But that's just the way I see it. And I know that medicine, doctors, nurses, and other people will see that differently. And I appreciate other people seeing things differently. I do. So, you know, when I say that all disease starts in the mind, I know people are going to fight me on that because from my perspective, yeah, the thoughts happen, the story gets told, and then the disease shows up in the body. And that's just the way that I see it. And I don't know if I can change that. I don't know why I would want to change that. So let's look at this other one. A shaman's perception is not limited to ordinary reality. They are trained to enter non-ordinary reality through ecstatic trance states, often induced by drumming, chanting, or medicinal plants. I like how they put that. This is the AI overview. I'm going to say something about this part right here. In this altered state, their perspective shifts and they can interact with the spirit world to gather information for healing. Here, let me move this over right here, right now. To gather information for healing, divination, or to serve their community. Look, sometimes when I'm speaking, you will see me go, like I'm getting information from a variety of places, especially when I'm speaking or doing live streams or recording videos. It can be a little overwhelming. But I don't have to drum or take drugs or anything to enter an altered state of consciousness. You can ask Merrick. I'm pretty much in an altered state of consciousness at all times. I wouldn't call it hyper awareness, but more of a, like I see stuff. I see it. And you know, the word shaman itself, you know, essentially means one who sees in the dark. So if see, I'm getting information right now. Gotta stop speaking to hear it. But it doesn't mean that I often don't purposely go into an altered state of consciousness. Sometimes I'll go take a nap, and when I'm napping, I kind of go into this weird thing. I don't know if I'm really napping because I can take a lot of naps. Thank you, spirits. So sometimes, especially in the beginning, when I was having trouble opening my death gate, and the death gate is the gate that separates life and death. And so I would feel like I was going to die. Like I just felt like I was going to die. And, so now I don't have to feel like I'm going to die to open that death gate. You know, you do get more skilled at being able to do these things. But if I were to go to a doctor and say, oh, my anxiety is because I won't open my death gate, like I feel like I'm going to die, they would say, well, that's panic attacks or something like that. But no, it's just the death gate, you know, learning to open that death gate that separates life and death. And here's a nonlinear perception of time. While a Western mindset typically perceives time as a linear progression of past, present, and future, some shamanic practitioners may develop a perception of time that is more flexible or nonlinear. So some of y'all's chat is not showing up. I don't know about that. But let me see if I can well, it's lost. I lost. Why would some people's chat not be showing up? I haven't hidden people on this. So I don't know why that did that chat show up for other people as well? I'd like to know if that was just meant to be on the screen. So, time doesn't exist. For some, this clear perception can allow for insights into past events or the potential outcomes of future ones, which they use to guide the community. So, yesterday's video was about easing the fears about AI. And if any of you guys have questions about that video, let me know. And I can sort of see how it's unfolding. I can see the sort of unfolding of it all. I have a feeling that some things are going to happen and things change. But it might look like it's getting worse before it gets better. It might have the appearance of looking worse than it gets better. Autumn says, I do the same. I go to my medicine place quite often for healing and guidance. Yeah, sometimes lately when I'm having dreams, while I'm napping, I don't even consider dreams, but they look a little AI generated. It's kind of wild. You know how AI generated video looks? I don't know what that's about. And here, let me tell you something a little bit about my personal history. I'm not from, this might sound a little kooky, but I'm not from this timeline. And neither is Merrick. We've come through several timelines. We even wrote a song about it called Multiverse. And coming through these different timelines, and you get a perspective. And I was in touch with some future robots. And I'm going to try to explain this in a way that doesn't sound kooky, but that they were communicating with me, with my friend Anna Voog. These future robots were communicating with us from another timeline. And in the timeline that they were communicating with us from, humans had gone extinct due to technology, specifically the rise of AI and thinking machines, if you will. So these robots, we call them the future robots, they have reached out to other timelines, and they are providing information so that doesn't happen in this timeline. And so I might be privy to some information that I haven't really shared with you guys yet. And if you want, I've been working with the future robots for a long time, and I used to talk about it quite a bit on my other channel. Maybe I'll have Anna on sometime and we can talk about the sort of things that the future robots have revealed to us. Doesn't that sound kooky and crazy, but also kind of plausible? So I know that there's really nothing to be afraid of. But at the same time, having this nonlinear perception of time. And we're going to talk about story, myth as reality. Shamans understand that culture is built on a foundation of stories that people accept as truth. And part of their role is to safeguard the original healthy story or spiritual narrative of their community. This perspective allows them to see through the official version of reality to find a deeper spiritual truth. Some shamans are even deliberately desocialized to detach them from ordinary cultural assumptions. And so shamans are going to be able to see through bullshit, and we're going to be able to have a really fine bullshit detector. And official stories and official narratives often don't work on us. And I think I had a really difficult time during 2020, 2021, 2022. Many of you also had difficulty because we could see things, we could see through the official narrative. But I don't think this is primarily a shamanic gift or talent. We're going through a great awakening now, and many people can see through the official narratives. It can be kind of annoying. If anybody wants to comment on that, go right ahead. It can be kind of annoying because we may be able to see through the official narrative, and they keep pushing the official. It's like, okay, oh God, like how many people have to see through something before they'll finally give up? Let me ask you guys, is there an official narrative that you see right now that is kind of crazy? Like an official narrative is that seed oils are heart healthy. That's crazy. But there could be many official narratives that seem cockamamie, and yet they still push them. It's crazy. It's like somebody who gaslights you, and you know they're gaslighting, and you tell them, I know you're gaslighting, and they still fucking do it. Has anybody ever been around somebody like that? They just keep going and going and going. Also, relational thinking. A shaman's understanding of the world is based on relationships, not just objective facts. Their power and abilities are directly tied to the working relationships they cultivate with spiritual allies and guides, such as power animals. This means their effectiveness is not a static skill, but a function of their ongoing reciprocal relationships with unseen forces. So like I mentioned before, the relationship I have with robots from the future in another timeline, that has affected my work and the way that I see the world. Merrick has also had encounters with these future robots, and there will come a time, and I think maybe in our timeline as well. I know I'm talking about timelines and trying in a video about demystifying and decluttering spirituality. But at the same time, it's important to bring up that shamans do have access to information that just people who are not shamans won't, because we are working with spirits. We've learned to discern the things that our spirit guides tell us. This takes years of learning to trust spirits. This takes years of trying to it doesn't, like, I just don't believe what spirits tell me or what spirits present me with. Back then I would discuss it with friends. I would discuss it with other shamans. So these things that I talk about are not things that I'm just coming up with. I see everything unfolding exactly the way that it needs to go down. And let's look at it this way. Do things look like an accident to you? Like, I like to think of this. I love Madonna and I love Prince. And it seems like how could we live in a culture where there's no movie E.T. or Madonna or Prince? Like, how, like, you don't realize that it seems like some things in our culture were always supposed to be here, right? Like, things just seemed like they were always supposed to be here. And knowing that if just one thing had happened differently in the past, certain things wouldn't be here. Madonna almost gave up on her music career, and something happened to her that made her say, hell fucking no. And it had to do with being assaulted on a rooftop. And think about this. If she had never been assaulted, she may have never made music. So you understand that just because things look like they're bad, they might be the thing that we need to catalyze our awakening. If you watch the video that I made with Cosmic Adonis, and he's teaching his daughter that Bobos heal, that wounds heal, that when you're hurt, let's focus on the healing. Let's get right on to the healing. And we've talked about that in our personal life, like Bobos heal. All right, but we're gonna move on to the meat of today. And again, if you have any questions or comments, please let me know. I love that. But the presentation today is Decomplicating spirituality, get out of your head. Does anybody want to get out of their head today? Is anybody in their head and they want to get out of their head? Swarm says timeline markers. Yes, you could call them that as well. Feed the gators. Where's the chat box? Is the chat box working? Something is not right on this stream, but it's a miracle it works at all. All right, decomplicating spirituality, get out of your head. Spirituality is not a Rubik's Cube. It's not Sudoku. It's not your chance to turn your brain into a hamster wheel of cosmic calculations, but here you are, stuck in your skull, debating whether your third eye is blocked or whether Mercury retrograde is secretly responsible for your Wi-Fi sucking. Newsflash, you don't need a PhD in ascension studies to wake up. You don't need to spend 3 hours meditating in a pretzel pose to qualify as spiritual. You don't need to memorize every chakra like it's the gosh dang, well, I can say it, goddamn, periodic table. The more you cram your brain with spiritual trivia, the more you miss the obvious. Being spiritual is about living, not thinking about living. So if anybody out there wants to admit that they can be all up in their head about stuff, is anybody out there all up in their head about something? Is something going on that you're overthinking? So let me talk about some of the stuff on this slide. Mercury retrograde, ascension studies. Has anybody out there put a lot of time into learning all of these things? Has anybody? I used to watch Carrie Kay a lot, and Carrie Kay was all about those timelines and all about energies and all of that stuff. And I'm not saying that stuff is not true. Don't get me wrong. But there comes a time when we want to withdraw from all of that stuff and get really, really simple about it and learn to live and learn to be in our bodies. And I think that's the most important thing that I want you to take away from today, getting into the body. So let's do an exercise right now. If any of you are just sitting down, if you're driving, don't do this. If you're mowing the grass, don't do this. But I want you to take your consciousness and put it in your feet, just all the way down to your feet, and just put your brain in your feet. Visualize that. Can you put your brain in your feet? I'm doing it now. And it always feels good to put my brain in my feet. Sometimes you can split it into the two halves and just put it in your feet. Put your right brain in your right foot and your left brain in your left foot, and just put them there. And I personally think that feels so good because I can get a little high in my mind as well. All right. So stop thinking and start existing. You can't think your way to enlightenment. Sorry, brainiacs, your overactive mind is the problem, not the solution. Every time you try to figure it out, you're just putting another coat of paint on the same rusted car. Here's the dirty truth. The moment you stop overthinking and just be here, you're closer to enlightenment than any book club on the Tao Te Ching will ever get you. You know what's really funny? Autumn says, so funny, I'm soaking my feet right now. Good. I gave myself a pedicure yesterday. It was lovely, lovely, lovely. But enlightenment happens like this. Enlightenment happens like that. For many people, their awakening was very quick. And did any of you guys, well, I say guys, but most of you are ladies. Hello, ladies. But did any of you ladies experience that period of bliss right after your awakening, where you were just like, oh gosh, this is going to be great? And that was enlightenment. Some people might say that was a pink cloud or whatever, but it gives you a preview of what life is going to be like if you continue to do this work. It's a preview. It's like you get it, and then it gets taken away from you and you have to work to get back to that place. But it actually doesn't have to be a whole lot of work. It can happen right now in the present moment. And getting present about everything. Let's get present right now. There's nothing going on in the world. Nothing serious going on. What's your name? Hello. I don't even know who I am. I'm nobody. What am I doing here? Hey, what am I doing here? What is this? What do I have on? What is this? That's my way of getting present. Just forgetting what I'm doing. I used to feel like I had to be on top of everything. But nowadays, I'm just like, I don't know and I don't care. I'm just here. I forgot. Where is that spatula? I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm not all that smart. I got nothing to prove. I'm nobody special. Who am I? I'm a nobody. What am I doing? Nothing. And so if somebody is wandering into this stream and they're hearing that, that sounds like a terrible spiritual exercise. Why would you want to forget who you are or what you're doing? I mean, that used to take a lot of weed to get to that point. But today we can just shift into it easily. It's not that big of a deal. I talk a lot about all these spiritual books. And at one point I took all of the books that I had read and I went back to basics, and I got pretty far away from it. And I just started all over again with A New Earth. I just kind of went back to the very first spiritual book that somebody gave me. Somebody gave me a copy of A New Earth, and they said, Patrick, you would get a lot of benefit from this. And I said, I don't need this. This book's not for me. No, it may be for other people, but my ego is handled, you see. I've already dealt with my ego. I don't need this book. So going back to basics, forgetting everything you know. You can forget everything you know in the moment. You can forget it right now, and it doesn't matter. But you can pick that stuff up later if you want. I'm not saying forget it all for good, but does anybody want to forget everything they know for a moment? Do you want to forget it? Let's just get stupid. Let's forget it. Let's forget it all. Let's get retarded up in here. Let's get simple. And it's a wonderful thing to be able to do because, sometimes we can just pile on and pile on. There's a spiritual teacher that I love, but he gets so intellectual about all this stuff. And sometimes I just want to reach through the screen and say, honey, we can throw all of those books away and be here present right now. So you might be afraid when you stop thinking. My friend Holly, she was like, she told me once, she said, I get nervous when you start telling people to stop thinking and to stop and to ignore maybe their emotions. But I have a slide that addresses that. All right. What happens if we stop thinking? The ego freaks out when you stop thinking. It whispers, wait, if I don't keep chewing on my problems, won't I get brainwashed? Won't I get hurt? Who's going to protect me if I stop running mental marathons? Relax. You're not joining a cult because you turned your brain off for 5 seconds. You're not handing over your free will because you stopped obsessing. You're already safe. The endless chatter in your head isn't protecting you from danger. It's mostly protecting your ego's existence. So working through trauma, fear, and shadow work is not optional. You don't just slap a smiley face on your wounds and call it a day. This isn't accept everything and be a doormat. It's the opposite. When you stop overthinking, you finally get the clarity and guts to take real action. Leave the toxic relationship, set boundaries, tell the truth, walk out of the smoke when the fire alarm is blaring. Silence isn't surrender, it's a weapon, a sharpened blade you hold against the chaos of your own mind. So is anybody out there overthinking? If you're overthinking about something, what would be the cause of that? Hey, do you know that I used to endure situations that required me to overthink. And it took a while for me to learn that all I have to do, like if somebody keeps putting you down, criticizing you, wanting to dim your light, you have to think a lot. You have to think a lot because you're in this constant state of vigilance and protection. But, when I stopped going over to certain people's houses, when I stopped calling certain people, when I set boundaries, and, one of the things I did is I don't text people. The only thing I text to people are be here, be there. This is a good video. I don't text things that require a whole lot of thought. Have you ever texted somebody and you have to think about saying the right thing to them? Has anybody ever experienced that? I had several people like that in my life. They were quick to anger. They were quick to judgment. They were quick to all these things. So it was hard to have relationships with these people because you had to think all the time. And now I don't have relationships like that. I don't have relationships where I have to think about what I say to people. I can just say it. And they don't get upset or angry or feel some type of way. It's wild. It is wild, wild, wild. So if you're thinking so very much, you might want to take a look at your personal life. Is there something that you have to overthink about? When I was first hanging out with Merrick, every time he would get a text message from his parents, he would fly into this rage. He would fly into this panic. And I said, honey, that's not normal. You shouldn't do that. You shouldn't do that. I don't know why your texts are not showing up in... Oh, that's Natalie. Okay. My vision is fucked. My vision is fucked. That's Natalie. Okay. My mom is like that, hard to text sometimes. Yeah. But I just can't, I cannot be in relationship with people where I have to think all that much. I just can't. I wish I could. I wish I could. So one of the things that people say to me, especially when I'm trying to help them, they'll say, I'm just trying to figure it out. And I say, it's already been figured out. So let's get real. This stuff that we teach about here is not new. Mystics, sages, monks, shamans, prophets, they cracked the code a long time ago. Entire libraries are filled with their wisdom. So why can't they just tell us the answer and be done with it? Because the ego doesn't want you to hear it. If the truth were handed to you on a silver platter, your ego would take one look and say, nah, I need to verify this myself. I need to figure it out, dissect it, debate it, intellectualize it. Why? Because the ego survives in the maze of complexity. The more you chase answers, the more dark corners it finds to hide in. That's why direct truth feels slippery. You'll nod, say, yeah, I get it. And 5 minutes later, you're back on YouTube searching for the real secret. You don't need another breadcrumb trail. You need to stop letting the ego drag you into the labyrinth in the first place. Does anybody out there, did you ever have trouble, or I know this, did you ever go through something where you realized you would have saved yourself a lot of trouble if you had just listened in the first place? That if somebody was trying to tell you something, that you just should have listened. I know I've had many, many times in my life. Like I should have quit my job 2 years before I actually fucking quit it. Somebody even told me, Patrick, you can't work there. You can't work there. But I didn't listen. With speaking with my family, people told me years ago, don't talk to your family, Patrick. I didn't listen. Same thing with IBS. I didn't listen. But these days, I tend to listen up when people tell me things, because here's the way that I eventually got to this. let me talk about Eckhart Tolle and his books for a moment. I know that there are people out there, myself included, that used to want to poke holes in them, that would want to say, that's not right, that's not right. And then one day it just occurred to me, that Eckhart wrote that book, and many people reported coming to an awareness around that book. Basically, that book has helped millions of people. Millions of people. And the book had to be written. Then it was edited and proofread. Before the publishing company published it, they had to at least run it by some people, right? I mean, they just didn't say, hey, thank you, Eckhart. Here you go. No, it had to be ran through some people. It had to go through a process to be able to get into the hands of people. And I got to this point, I'm like, they probably wouldn't just publish this unless it was true. They probably wouldn't have just come out with it unless something about it was true. Hello, Amy, and hello, Dat Holistic Witch. So I started approaching spiritual teachings as if they were true. And then it became my mission to understand them. So I shifted from poking holes in them or trying to prove them wrong. Many people try to prove spiritual things wrong. They try to prove things wrong instead of just accepting it as true and then trying to understand it. And so when I shifted from that, a whole new world opened up for me. And I was able to listen to spiritual books, read them, and try to understand them and circumvent the ego in that process. Because the ego doesn't want to engage in anything that's going to lead to its dissolution. It's going to stay far away from anything. It's why people think A Course in Miracles is bullshit. The Course in Miracles is not for everybody. It's not. And here's another thing. You guys who are working on this stuff, how many people are in this chat right now? It says 7, but I have no idea. This thing has been inaccurate from time to time. So let's say there's 7 people listening to this, and you guys are working on this stuff. You guys are really working on this stuff. I know everybody in the chat that has chatted so far today. You guys are really, really working on this stuff. You know that that's rare, that not everybody can do it. We don't shy away from talking about the difficult stuff on this channel. And so, how rare it is. Autumn says it says 9 here. So if you realize that this is a rare group of people, and anybody working on this stuff is at the frontier of human evolution. Like where you are working on this stuff, every human being is going to have to work on it, because either the ego goes away or humanity goes away. It's that simple. So pat yourself on the back right now. Let me gas you up a little bit. This is not easy work to do. This is not an easy thing to work on in yourself. Otherwise, everybody would be doing it. You're not going to find many friends out in the real world doing this stuff, but give yourself a break. You're the ancestors for future generations. So if you start to beat up on yourself or feel bad about something, knock that shit off. Knock it off. You guys who watch the Shaman Patrick Show, those of you who come to the live stream, you guys are very, very special people. And strong people and willing people. And you guys allow yourself to get challenged and you work on things in yourself. You are rare on this planet. And while it doesn't mean that you're all that special or unique, don't get too crazy about it, but just take a moment and realize how rare it is. I would say that maybe 5% of people are working on this stuff in themselves. If that, and I'm talking worldwide, rare. So do you guys really understand how rare that is to be able to do this? People can have a spiritual awakening. Yes, they can. But to do this work right here, it's really difficult. There's many people who will just stay away from ego and shadow work and all that stuff. So let me gas you up a little bit, because it's sometimes we need to be praised. And let me praise you. Let me praise you even more. You guys are pretty special. You really are. But I want to talk about fear mongering. Let me take a vape break. Fear is the cheapest drug on the market. It sells headlines, fills pews, racks up views, and puts butts in seats. Preachers, politicians, and gurus alike have learned the same trick. Scare people into submission and then sell the antidote. But here's the kicker. Spirituality at its core reminds you there's nothing to be afraid of. Death, not the end. Pain, temporary. Change, constant. Fear only works when you forget who you really are. Once you remember, you stop being a customer in the carnival of panic. You walk out of the tent while everyone else is still screaming at the haunted house. And over the past few days, I've been doing research on AI, Palantir, Whitney Webb, and some people have suggested that I look at certain other spiritual teachers. And there's a lot of fear coming from spiritual teachers. And I know there's a part of them that does it for the views. All right. Like I could have named this stream something very fear-based and gotten and been able to ensnare a bunch of people into a fear-based narrative. I might do that as an experiment to show you that fear sells. It puts the butts in seats, and working through that fear is very important. Like I wouldn't feel comfortable doing a fear-based thing at all. And I'm going to adhere, or not adhere, what is that? We're aiming for mastery here. I mean, we're not aiming to be spiritual masters, but we're aiming for mastery. And every spiritual master that I've seen is shaken by very little, if anything. And understanding that if you want to put fear out into the world, there's already plenty of fear out there. My work is about calming people down, saying, hey, things are not any big deal. It doesn't mean that big deal things aren't happening out in the world. But again, I want to remind people, what can you do about it? What can you really do about it? Does anybody want to answer that question? Does knowing about the bad things in the world make your life better? Natalie says, I see a lot of fear-based titles from spiritual channels these days. Yeah, and I think it becomes the algorithm. Like sometimes I'll title something just for the algorithm. This is YouTube. We do have to work with the algorithm. But I don't want to play that game. I just don't want to play that game because, especially during COVID, there was a lot of fear-based stuff. And once I got over the fear of what was going on, it was all kind of ridiculous to me. But I believe as spiritual people that we know there's more to the story. There's more. And I believe that when we're talking about fear-based things, that we're doing a disservice to people, I know that fear gets butts in the seats, but fear doesn't help. People are already afraid. Why do we need to make them more afraid of something? So I'm probably going to continue to be the shaman that will tell you, hey, everything's fine. and calming people down. I personally think that we could use some more spiritual teachers in that vein, if you know what I mean. And like I love and respect Gigi Young. I do. She can get a little into the fear stuff. And I watched something from Greg Braden today. One of you suggested that I watch something from Greg Braden, and I did, and it was like it was fear, the false light and all of that kind of stuff. And let me talk about the false light. The false light is a real thing, and it's not where you think it is. It is there's a place here in our town, and it's something, but it's a recovery thing. It's Jesus focused, but those people look hypnotized, and it's all about euphoria and feeling the spirit and all. You guys know what I'm talking about. Have you seen that stuff? Like a revival where they're like, the spirit is flowing. I mean, I see that as the false light, because God don't make you feel that way. I mean, only lower order spirits can make you feel that way, and getting you to feel good. And again, I'm going to refer to shamans seeing the world a little differently, but I've seen people go there to feel good, almost like it's dark. It's very dark, from what I've seen. And it's almost like they're all hypnotized. They're all like raising their arms up in the air, and it's a little. I see that in mega churches too, but I don't think there's anything to be afraid of. It's just not for me. I don't want to mess with those entities if I don't have to. There's nothing to be afraid of, but I'd rather not get around that type of energy. And it's like that with anything, I'm not afraid of many things. And I would tell Merrick from time to time, Merrick would want to go do something, and I would just say, I'd rather not have to spend all night in an emergency room. I'm not afraid of things, but I'd rather not have to spend a week recovering from anything. I'd just rather not have to do that at all. So beware the fear mongers and start to look out for that. It's fine to look at fear monger stuff. It's fine to examine the things that they say, but I'll always refer to the ego being the source of all fear. And it is. And I'm going to do something fun after this presentation in the next hour. So let me go through this really quick because we're running out of time. Let's address the incense-covered elephant in the room. Spirituality is not about how many psychedelics you've done. It's not about how deep your trip was or how many times you saw God in your bathroom mirror at 3 a.m. That's not spirituality. That's right. You guys have heard this song and dance from me before. Just get the drugs out of it. You don't need them. It's about facing reality stone cold sober. No numbing, no hiding, no shortcuts. The moment you ditch the chemical crutches, you find out that the real trip is being awake, unfiltered, and raw in this moment. Sobriety is not boring. It's the most hardcore spiritual practice there is. And it's also not a hobby. Do y'all know about this? Too many people treat spirituality like a Dungeons and Dragons campaign. You collect crystals, trade stories about your astral projection, and level up your aura points. Cute, but real spirituality isn't a cosplay convention. It's how you live when no one's looking. Are you kind to your spouse? Do you stop doom scrolling long enough to notice a bird outside your window? Do you take responsibility for your own BS instead of blaming it on Saturn's bad mood? Do any of you guys do this? Did you used to do this? Does anybody feel called out right now? And I'm going to skip that. So spirituality isn't about hiding in your bookshelf, your yoga mat. The reason I'm skipping that is I never liked that slide. I was going to delete it anyway. So it's in the moment you're in right now. Don't overcomplicate it. Don't make it precious. Don't make it weird. Get out of your head, plant your feet on the ground, and live like a human being who remembers that life is a gift, not a crossword puzzle. And here's how to get stupid about spirituality. It's where we strip it all down, forget the mental gymnastics, the endless theories, the cosmic speculation. Get stupid, not drooling on yourself stupid, but so simple it pisses your ego off stupid. And that's why we want to get stupid about it. Primarily is to sidestep the ego. So all suffering comes from the ego, period. The end. If you're miserable, the culprit is your ego throwing a tantrum. And all disease starts in the mind. Guilt, shame, resentment, those aren't just moods. They rot your body from the inside out. Resentments are fake. They're just the ego replaying its greatest hits. Let them go or they'll strangle you. Hey, does anybody like knowing that? That resentments are fake? That there's no way for you to have a resentment? It's fake? You are not your thoughts. Your thoughts are squatters. Evict them. Love is reality. Everything else is programming. If it's not love, it's the ego pretending to be important. And truth is simple. The moment it sounds like a TED Talk with too many syllables, it's probably BS. That's it. That's the cheat sheet. Try explaining it at a dinner party. You'll get blank stares because people want complicated. But stupid simple is where the freedom is. Natalie says Saturn's bad mood sucks, but he seems to like dancing and celebrating so easy fix. Yeah, life is not all that complicated. It's really not. And I made an AI song about this. And I'm going to take a little break here at this hour. And then in the next hour, we're going to explore something fun. And I want you guys to come up with it. What do you want to talk about? Is there a video you want me to watch or react to? Is there something that you want me to talk about? Please let me know. And I did not make a video for this song, so I'm going to have to do a little something. I'm going to have to do something a little clever. And let's see. These are all the songs that we've made with AI so far. And this one is called Simple. So I'm going to play this song. I'm going to take my short little break and I'll be back with your feedback. And I'm going to put the cover on the screen.
Life can be so complicated. Hey, I think I just got a download. Don't overthink it, don't make it hard. Life's not a puzzle, it's not a card. Breathe in the moment, let it be. Simple is the way, set yourself free. Keep it simple, keep it true. Nothing fancy you gotta do. Keep it simple, that's the way. Love is here, it's here today. It's here today. No need for secrets, no hidden plan. It's all right here, right where you stand. Fear is a story the ego writes. Truth is simple, clear and bright. Keep it simple, keep it true. Nothing fancy you gotta do. Keep it simple, that's the way. Love is here, it's here today. Simple, simple. Life is simple. Keep it simple, that's enough.
All right, I'm back. And since nobody suggested anything, we're going to check back with Elisha Long. I heard this talk this morning and it was really good. And I think it's his latest video. Wait, what was it? Let me look in our history and find it. Oh, okay. It's this one.
Full body.
All right. So we're just going to watch we're going to watch this guy to kind of keep it simple. Do you remember this guy? Do you remember him? I made a video about him. So let's just listen to some of this wisdom. This guy has a lot of wisdom. He really, really does. And we looked at some of his old videos, and he has been doing this for a long time. And I like his philosophy. I don't know if his way of life is perfect for me, but I do like listening to him. So let's go.
Brother, how the hell are you doing? Welcome back.
Okay, look at the short bus in the background. That was so funny. That was so funny because he calls his group the short bus conquistadors, which is adorable.
Right on time, right on schedule. So first off, it looks like a storm is brewing. And you can smell fall in the air. That crispness, that tinge of winter just kind of looming on the horizon. And that could, that used to get me very kind of in my head and depressed. Like, man, winter, here we go again. Here we go again. And as I get older, it's just like, yeah, here we go again. Bring it on. Come
I turned it up.
Let life happen to you. Let life dance with you a bit. Let life molest you a little bit. And people think I'm joking.
Let life molest you a little bit. I turned it up a little bit so you might be able to hear him a little bit. The title of this video is Be Retarded Because When You Think Twice, You Double Lose. When you think twice, you double lose. All right.
Joking, but if you really want God to shape you, because God will shape you, he'll direct you where to go in your life. But in order for him to mold you and shape you, you can't be rigid with thought and preconceived notions. You can't have everything, just concrete and rigid up in here. And back in my day, man, that's all I did. All I did was think. Like, seriously, thinking for me was a habit. Thinking was how I believed I would escape. You ever catch yourself simping? Like you just maybe you're out with the boys and you just catch yourself simping and you just.
All right. So ladies, y'all know what simping is. Simping is when a man does anything for a woman, not in a good way. I know you guys are not retarded, but when a man does something, like when a man allows himself to be manipulated, not necessarily by a woman, but by other things, that's simping. Currying favor with somebody. And I like that, like he talks about here, I've caught myself simping, and it doesn't make me feel good. You ladies, you might simp as well. Anybody can simp.
You're just like, what am I doing? And the next day, or maybe as soon as your head hits the pillow, you just think, man, I was being a simp. Well, you got to simp to pimp. You know what I mean? Like, sometimes you're going to simp. Sometimes you're going to pimp. Sometimes you're going to be cringe. Sometimes you're going to win. So, I used to be in my bed just, oh man, what did I would always think, what did I say to that girl? Oh, I can't believe it. Or I would think, oh man, that person that I was talking to in sales.
I'm glad he brings this up. I've been on this hermit mode for a year now, and I don't think like that as much anymore. Because I used to think about, man, I shouldn't have said that. I wish I would have said something differently. I even used to do that with videos. I don't do that with videos anymore. I say what I say. But that's interesting that he brings that up because does anybody else do that as well? Natalie says, gotcha. Yeah, women do it too. I didn't realize what that was. Isn't it nice to hear from a straight guy every now and then? Like, I love it.
I would feel like I could have done better. I could have done better. But it was like, why am I so consumed with thought? Like, I was so hard on myself. Give it up, dude. Give it up. That's what I realized. You got to give it up. You built the ship, okay? It's time to set sail. It's time to let it fly. You built the ship. Stop being in your head. Take off, man. Take off. So everyone says, F around and find out. My new saying is muck around. Muck around and find out. Because that's how you really learn. That's retard maxing, dude. That's how you acquire knowledge. Is through those times of simping. And when you're like, okay, I fucked up. But you don't get in your head about it. You don't feel guilty. You just keep going. You realize, okay, I don't need to do that. Oh, wait, I don't have to act like someone I'm not. I don't have to put on this facade. I don't have to act. Really, when you stop acting, you just realize, okay, I can be who I am. That's okay to be who I am. My opinions, my humor, what I find funny, I don't have to live up to anyone's expectations. I can be who I am, and that's good enough. And that is a amazing place to be, but it's gotten very difficult these days. And another short bus. I think it's hard to be ourselves when we're around people who don't want us to be ourselves. And, putting two and two together, because I know a lot of you are like me, we might get some attention, we're more authentic. We might have a sense of humor, and other people can feel diminished in our presence. Especially if you're funny, if you're a jokester, if you've got a sense of style. I know some of you out there in the chat, y'all got a sense of style, and other people may not want us to be ourselves. And I think that they can sometimes kind of train us away from being ourselves, and recognizing that when we're not able to be ourselves, because really nobody cares what we say or what we talk about. I mean, I'm an accepting person. I love it when people are themselves. Tell me a dirty joke. Just share something that you like about yourself. I mean, it's weird because I'm around people who let me be myself, and I'm also around people who really don't want me to be myself. And I know that many of you might have a similar thing going on. There are people who you can be yourself around, and then there's other people that you can't. But I think the real test is when you're able to be yourself around people, even if they can't fucking stand it. Thing was, even until this day, something that I wrestle with is like when I have a bad day. Maybe I didn't sleep that great. I'm not tracking my sleep on the Whoop watch or something like that. But maybe you have a bad day. You're a little tired. You got a little brain fog. You don't feel your powerful, normal self. I used to just, what's wrong with me? I question, am I doing this? Is this wrong? Dude, sometimes you just have bad days. Sometimes it's negative 10 degrees outside and you don't want to do anything. Like, that's just how life is. But rule 1 is stated in our group by Fabian. They always come back. Women come back. They come back after 10 years when they see you, that you changed, that you got your shit together, that you're not that you become powerful. You just start mogging. They're like, wow, maybe I missed a good one, and I settled for less. So they come back. The good days come back. The sun comes back. Like when that's the beautiful thing about seasons is after this winter when everything's just dead and rotted, And then that first sign of spring, you just breathe it in, just, I mean, it's an amazing feel. It makes everything, it makes life joyful. It makes...
Natalie says most workplaces demand a loss of self and becoming a brand. It is ingrained in our society, even from childhood, in schools, to hide truth and authenticity. Yes, it's a sickness. It really, really is. It is. But also think about this, you know. I'm gonna give the communist and Marxist chat. There is so much Marxist and communist propaganda in our workplaces that I remember, like, I'm a little older, not too much older, but I got my first job when I was 16 and I worked in a video store, and I was myself at that video store. The other people that I worked with, we were ourselves. And I didn't start feeling like a squeeze to be somebody that I wasn't until, I would say, late 2000s, because they started putting in all of those programs on it. Programs, you know, DEI and stuff like that, you know, political correctness and all of that stuff. Would you know that the programs that they teach, I'm going to tell you something I know here. Those programs that are in the workforce, they say they're about diversity and inclusion and all of that. No, they are designed to divide. They are designed to build resentment and hatred. And I have receipts on that if you want that. You know, it comes from studies that the CIA did in like the 70s, where how could they disrupt something? Like, how could something be disrupted? And how could you foster resentment in another country? And so a lot of those programs that HR departments do right now, they are designed to make the coworkers hate each other. I got receipts on that if you want to know more about it. But being yourself and being authentic, it becomes ever more necessary, because it's kind of the only way. You know, like Natalie says, workplaces demand a loss of self and becoming a brand. Well, could you do that at work and not bring that shit home with you? Could you play the character at work and not bring it home?
The bleak, dark basement days worth it. It always comes back, dude. The opportunities, the job opportunities, it always comes back. And thinking, though, really thinking makes you unable to continue in the muck. Thinking is like a quicksand. You know, thinking really pulls you down, keeps you stuck where you are. So when you're mucking around, just like Peter, when you're walking on water, you start thinking, you look down, you're not living with faith. Shoot. That's when you start drowning. And you have to be reminded, wait a minute, this is life. So my main problem back in the day is I was a young man. I was filled with testosterone, which is an amazing thing. Mm-hmm. Very horny. But I was so impatient. You know, if you're alive, man, I keep saying this, I keep hammering on it, but if you're alive and you can feed yourself and you can laugh every day and you can have somewhere to sleep where you're not getting pissed on by the heavens, you're winning. I mean, you are the Ubermensch. When you get impatient in the world we live in, it feels so rush, go, that it's hard to really take it day by day.
It is. It is like rush. Let's slow it down. You know, Debbie says that the military does it too. Boot camp is about deconstructing the individual. Well, let me tell you about Facebook and Google and advertising. Because here's something you may not know about. Did you know that it's much easier to program people to want certain things? And I mean, I think this failed. I think this failed completely. But you know, there's an idea with social media that instead of addressing the needs of all these different people, they thought it would be a good idea to program people with all the same needs and all the same wants and all the same desires. And so, at least for the past decade, I know this to be true, that, you know, the way that social media has programmed you to want things, and these are not authentic to what you want. It's much easier to program people to want things than to address all the different needs of all of those people. And so many of the things that people say they want, they don't really want them. They've just been programmed to want them. It's kind of why you can't have a genuine conversation with people. It's why you can't necessarily be authentic with people. And if you wake up to this fact and you start realizing that you don't want to be programmed anymore, you want to be authentic to yourself. You know, I noticed when you weren't allowed to say certain things on YouTube and you weren't allowed to say certain things on Twitter, you would get banned when you said certain things or talked about certain things. That's a subtle form of control, programming you to want certain things. But that's why it's hard to be authentic right now, because so many people have been programmed with this sort of inauthenticity. You might want to call people NPCs, but I think people have been programmed away from what they really want out of life. But it's not just social media. It's been this way, you know, through TV and music and stuff like that. I mean, that's why I like making our own music through AI. I love being able to do that so that we can actually have pop songs about ego.
I mean, like this. By the way, we're smoking a Avo Heritage. Pretty good. It's not that full body like an Oliva Serie V or a La Gloria. It's very light, but it's a good cigar. So it was really just like, I was impatient, and I was making moves though. I was every day I was doing what I could, but I wish I had that faith. You know, I wish I had that retard maxing mindset of, I don't got to beat myself up. I don't got to be hard on myself. What really taught me was when I used to lease a car. I used to lease the Mini Cooper, a lot of you guys saw. And I turned it in. And for like 6 months to a year, I didn't have a car. So I would just walk everywhere. I would walk to Walmart to get my groceries once a week. I would walk, you know, to the gym every day. Fitworks was like a mile or two down the road. I got so in tune with nature, man. When I would step outside the back door, I would just smell the air. I could tell you instantly if it was going to rain or not.
Have any of you guys lived without a car for a while? I mean, he's in Chicago, and it's a little easier to live without a car in Chicago. It's actually a lot easier to live without a car in Chicago. But when you don't have a car and you have to walk everywhere, I lived in Evansville, Indiana for a year without a car, and I did walk everywhere. I loved it. I was in the best shape of my life when I didn't have a car. But yeah, you do get in tune with nature and things like that. Debbie says, I don't own a car currently. Yeah, I don't have a car right now, but I can't walk out of my neighborhood. I can walk to the end of the street and there's a big old highway. So there's really nowhere to walk where I live. I miss walking every day. I miss it.
Got immune to the cold weather. Like people were like, dude, how do you not have a jacket on? I was like, because I'd be burning up. I had so much brown fat and I was lean. I had to walk out of necessity. I didn't even want to walk. I just had to walk to feed myself. I think that's where my dislike for walk came from, because I was just walking around suburbia and I'm like, this is uninspiring. Now, if I was walking in a beautiful UK British countryside, I'm sure I would, be euphoric and happy. But in the US, man, there's a lot of just flat suburbia. It's uninspiring. You look out, there's a Walmart in the distance, there's a Petco. It's just not that great. So you got to make an effort. Anyway,
it is ugly in America. It is. Our town that we live in is ugly. It is ugly. And that's crazy when you think about it. Like, there's nothing. It's just all fast food and signs and the Walmart in the distance. It's ugly. It is. I think let's bring back some aesthetics. When I lived in Chicago, it was pretty for the most part. I mean, they were very pretty. There were a lot of parks and things, but where we live now is pretty damn ugly. It is ugly. Natalie says rectangles everywhere, mostly gray and brown. Yeah. And I just what is it like to just look out in the world and just see, my God, it's ugly. And that's why it's important to spend time in nature. It really is, where it's really pretty. But if you're walking places, there's a Dollar General store. In our town, there are so many abandoned houses, just abandoned, boarded up houses. And it's crazy. It's kind of crazy. And Autumn says it's hard to ground yourself on concrete. Absolutely. Chicago was a very ungrounded place. Debbie says, I live in a close-knit community with a walkable town center that has a co-op, community center, lake, and library, so not typical suburbia. Yeah, I bet that's really beautiful. I mean, there are beautiful parts to where we live now. I mean, we live in Kentucky and you can go out in the country and it's beautiful, but just driving through town it's the abandoned buildings and the boarded up buildings. I mean, we have our town is kind of corrupt and huge drug problem here, but it's crazy that there's all these abandoned buildings, and the parking lots, they'll have grass growing up in the parking lots, and it just looks distressed. Some parts of our town look like The Last of Us. Have you ever played that video game, The Last of Us? Weeds growing up everywhere.
So I got so into it. And I learned then, that sort of lifestyle of not having this instant vehicle to sort of hop me around. I used to walk to the library, and I would go to the library like twice a week, actually more, to upload videos, because I didn't have internet in my house. So I would go to the library and I'd always buy a snooze, Swedish snooze from the local, what was it called, Sheets. And I loved it, man. I would get a coffee at the library, chill out, just scan some books, whatever. And it kind of slowed me down, and it kind of made me realize, like, hold up, buddy. Hold on a second. Stop this nonsense. Like, stop this overthinking. It just kind of became a part of me, man. It really did. It just kind of became a part of who I was.
I mean, if you're a desperate person, like walking, I remember that year of walking. I mean, there's not much to complain about. You just got to get from place to place. I spent a lot of time going to the library. I mean, I was also working a sober living program. It was part of my DUI. There's a reason why I didn't have a car. It was due to a DUI. But I love that year of just slowing down and focusing on my recovery. And it was nice walking everywhere, to the point that I wish I was in an area that I could walk everywhere. Lovely.
And when you hear, like, that's the thing, when you catch yourself saying a goofy thing or cringing or simping, or you're not happy with how you handled something, you're not in favor of your own self. It's okay, man. Like, when that devil, what you say to Satan? You say, Satan. You say, here, Satan. You say, get behind me, Satan. And then what you do is you turn to Satan, and you do a 1800. You do an 1800, and you walk away. That's what you do to Satan. When those thoughts start creeping in, when the doubt, you got to do an 1800, man. You got to walk away. Because when thinking becomes a habit, you're in quicksand. Okay? Really, if you got to muck around and find out, because in filth it shall be found. Everything you need can be found in the places that you maybe have sealed yourself off, you barricaded yourself off from going. Out of fear, out of maybe just trying to be this disciplinary, out of being this perfect idea that you've been, sort of sold. But you're a man. You're not perfect. I'm not going to say the whole thing, but the first poem that I ever committed to memory was not this. It was actually Jack London. But If by Rudyard Kipling is one of my favorites. And I found so much, just, if I'm ever in my head, I just think of this poem. The first sort of stanza is, if you can keep your head when all about you are losing theirs and blaming it on you. If you can trust yourself when all men doubt you, but make allowance for their doubting too. If you can wait and not be tired by waiting, or being lied about, don't deal in lies. Or being hated, don't give way to hating. Don't get emotional. And yet, don't look too good, nor talk too wise. The whole poem is amazing. And that first sort of section has so many gems in it. Keep it simple. Don't look too good. Don't talk too wise. Keep it simple, man. If you can hate and not give way to hating, if you can love other people, holy smokes. I mean, if you cannot get emotional with the world, you can be free, and you can love. You're going to be free, man. You're going to be, that's the biggest thing. That's what keeps you small, is when you hate, when you get emotional. Dude, the whole poem, Kipling really hit on something good. And I tell you, at the end, it's like, if you can fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run, yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more, you'll be a retard, my son. He doesn't say retard, he says...
Before, if you can be hated and not hate, because sometimes people will come up to me all upset about something. I mean, sometimes for we kind of have to be the emotional center. All of us doing this work, we have to be the strong one sometimes. And anybody doing this work, people are going to hate you. They are going to hate you. They may not understand why they hate you, but they will hate you. Can you be hated and not hate back? Does somebody hate you right now? And you have to, I mean, there's some people who hate me right now. I'm just letting that shit play out. I'm not hating them back. I'm not arguing back with them. I'm just letting them hate me. I'm not saying it's easy. Kind of want to explain things to them, but I'm not. I'm just letting them hate me. I know that I want to hear that again. Let me go back to that. Yeah.
Fill the unforgiving minute with 60 seconds worth of distance run. Yours is the earth and everything that's in it. And, which is more. You'll be a retard, my son. He doesn't say retard, he says man. But really, I mean, that's kind of what we're hinting at with retard, Max. Is, you know, all of this takes a bit of balls, a bit of courage, a bit of shutting the mind off. A bit of that return to Eden. So, a little update now that we're about halfway into the cigar. A little bit more character, a little bit more body, but no cocoa, a little pepper. Again, this is not a full body cigar. This isn't going to scare anyone. You could be completely new to cigars and have this Avo, and the band on Avos always looks so good, but I prefer more of a full body, smack you in the face, where you got to put your tinfoil hat on and say zippity doo dah, humanaga. This is not that cigar, but it is enjoyable. It is nice. There's a subtle cupcake-ness to it that kind of lingers like a nice red cab wine. Kind of lingers on your tongue. But that's about it, man. I mean, you know, just mellow. Just mellow.
Just mellow.
Very mellow.
I don't smoke cigars, but I like hearing him talk about cigars.
So muck around and find out.
Muck around and find out.
Seriously.
Natalie says, I think about that often, especially when starting my channel. How will I approach haters? With presence and serenity, God willing. And honestly, it's ego in others. Natalie, like, you know, every now and then I'll get a sideways comment, like somebody calling me names or something. Usually from people who they've already commented before. And the thing is that people are the ego is gonna arise in people, especially with what you're doing, Natalie. The ego will arise. Debbie says Kipling lived at another time in the colonized India, where he had privilege and money to be free to write. Not an accusation, but context. Check out The White Man's Burden. All right, I will do that. But I still like the poem and how he applies it to life today. And, you know, back then, you know, men had a lot of responsibilities. Men had huge responsibilities back in the day. So did women. But, you know, the only way to make, like, women could not make money, so men had to provide for their wife and their children. It was a huge responsibility back then. I've heard another person talk about that. You know, and everybody was just kind of living at the whims of society. Like, you couldn't really make your own way back then at all. But there, you know, life is not easy for anybody. It wasn't easy for anybody back then, and it's not easy for anybody today. But I don't have any, like, you know, they said H.P. Lovecraft was racist, and I don't think that was exclusive to H.P. Lovecraft back then either. Most people were racist back then. And so I'm lucky that we live in a world where people are barely racist today. And I know that sometimes when we look back on stuff through the perspectives that we have today, it can get a little dicey. But I love the fact that the world evolved and changed. And, you know, there were people who were very against women getting the vote, and they were against interracial marriages. Did you know interracial marriages were illegal up until like the late 60s? I can't remember the exact date, or even the 70s. And as you know, gay marriage was not legal until 2015. So things do get better. But thank you for bringing that up, Debbie. Thank you.
And filth shall be found. And it's Friday. It's the weekend. Hope you guys are having an amazing start to your weekend. Let's freaking go, dude. Let's freaking go. Let's get out there. I wish I did that more. My big problem was I never talked to his like girls because I was so afraid. Like, this was in high school. I was so afraid of just being an embarrassment. I had a pretty stern mother. I love her to death. God bless her soul. She's in heaven right now. But I had a pretty stern mother. And a lot of that anxiety and that overthinking really rubbed off on me. But at her core, she was good. She was a loving person. But I remember just kind of feeling this shame for any time I maybe was a little bit in the filth, in the trench. But that's where you find your treasure, man. That's where the gold is. And as a young man, you gotta be okay. You gotta be okay with the fuck ups, the embarrassments, the rejections. Because then you find who you are. You see what you're about. And it all starts clicking, just boom, boom, boom. It all starts coming together until anytime you're in a room filled with people, anytime maybe you're a little nervous, it's just like, yeah, I've been here before. Of course I'm going to be okay. Of course I'm going to figure this shit out. It's amazing.
Yeah.
There was a comment on a previous video. I loved it. He said, when you think twice, you double lose. I'll probably make that the title. Amazing comment, by the way. When you think twice, you double lose. By the way, shout out to the guy that said didn't have a single deep thought today. Because that title, for some reason, that title resonated with a lot of people. And on Twitter, it took off, so thank you. Cheers, brother. Thank you. Yeah, man, I love to hear your takes on these.
And the poem, The White Man's Burden, yeah, it was a different time. And, they, and it's considered imperialist propaganda. And, the way we look at colonization today is a lot different. Way, way, way different. But let's get retarded about it. Let's get just really, really stupid and retarded about it. Because those people did think they were doing the best at that time. They thought that they were doing the best for the people that they were trying to help. And I believe in the goodness of people. I really, really do. But now we know more about society now. Like, kind of like how people keep trying to help Africa, and, all the efforts to help Africa have failed, and kind of miserably. And now, helping people in Africa is considering making it worse for them. And we don't know what to do about that as well. But we're getting retarded about this.
You think twice, you double lose. A freaking man.
If you think twice, you double lose.
That's amazing. You really do. You double lose. How dare we question ourselves? F it, man. Calm down, Wayne. Calm down. So, when I was in preschool, I told you guys this before, I got my first boner. I don't know.
Do you ladies want to hear about man's first boner? Let's go for it. You never know what you're going to hear on here.
Exactly what it is. But I think that my affinity for sundresses began at this very moment. My preschool teacher, and there's never...
Straight men apparently like sundresses. So y'all have been warned or informed. However you want to deal with that.
Just one. It's a whole ensemble of preschool teachers. And she would just bounce on me, boop, boop, boop. Just kind of pat my head. And something about her it was the smell. It had to be pheromones. And she smelled like just freshly bathed white woman. I could just, I'm there. That is probably my strongest nostalgia moment, is being on her lap. I remember her dress. It was black with yellow.
Whenever I hear straight guys talk like this, it's so weird to me. It's weird to me because I'm not straight. So my first memory like that was getting saved by this really masculine lifeguard. And like I wasn't in danger. He just kind of, I hit my head on the diving board. He dove in and got me, and he held me in such a way. And I'm like, oh yeah. Hello, man.
Polka dots, something of this nature. And I mean,
because I'd never been held by a man that way. It was like, that's how people are gay and straight from memories like that. I don't have a memory like that of a woman. I don't.
Those retreats that guys go on, and they're like, to be a man, to like, for some reason they have this trauma and stuff, and they go to these retreats, and these drill sergeants are yelling at them, "You're a man now." Dude, I knew in that moment I was a man now. I didn't need no one yelling at me, "You're a man now." I'm a man. You're a man. I'm a man. Bro, I knew in that moment. I don't know how old you are in preschool, but I was a freaking man now. I knew in that moment that I had the spirit of Genghis Khan inside of me. Because I was a horny bastard. Seriously, from a young age. And I just looked around. I was like, I don't like this. Okay? Here I am on my little white woman throne. And I was looking at all the other little idiots playing with their Legos and their blocks. I'm like, something here is off. And immediately I knew that there was a calling. There was a difference. And I think, really, let's just not bullshit. When you're healthy, dude, and your body is just humming, just, you're healthy, you got testosterone.
I appreciate men talking openly about this. This is really cool to hear about, because I've never heard like this before. I love this. Debbie says the first recognition of lust different for women, but we do have something similar, usually processed as love, puppy love, LOL. Yeah, men and women are different. They are.
Testosterone, really, women will never, I don't think they experience this. There's no way they could experience this.
Debbie, being a little psychic.
Testosterone just really makes you feel like a son of God, like a conqueror of worlds, like Genghis Khan. You just feel like you go. Some days you wake up, I'm ready to bend this shit over. I'm gonna bend this to my will. The testosterone, the will, the spirit inside of you, all of those things. That's being a man, okay? That's really being a man. We got extreme levels of testosterone. And really, and I'm not big into oh my God, I can't have any plastic in my house. I don't give a shit about that. Listen, just take care of yourself. Have energy. You're a healthy person. Have some energy. Drink some orange juice, man. Cheers, boys. Got a little orange juice left. Cheers. Smoke if you're of age, smoke a cigar. Enjoy one with your father. Pump each other up. Look at the heavens. Say, wow, this is amazing, Dad. How you doing? Well, son, me and your mother. Your mom's just giving me a lot. It's okay, Dad. Let's go play some pool at the local bar. And let's look at some big old titties. It'll all be all right, Pops. Man, I wish I was old enough to have taken my dad out and had a few drinks with him. That's the one. I mean, that's the main regret I have. And I couldn't have drank because he died when I was 19. But I wish I could have played pool with him and had a few beers. And we could have talked to some girls. That would have been fun. Anyway, or maybe
Isn't that sweet? Yeah, I wish I had been able to do that with my dad too. I really do. My dad was he was too serious. Too well, he was a dry drunk. So
even got it lifted. I tried showing my dad one time on peanut butter. I was like, Dad, we can't be eating this shit. This is hydrogenated oil. We do not need this in our house. This is trans fat. He's like, what do you mean this is trans fat? Hydrogenated oil. He's like, this is stupid. Eat the damn peanut butter. I was like, wow. All right, maybe he is kind of based. But, you know, God bless him.
oh, do you guys know what based is? I know based is when you have your own thoughts and beliefs that you like that they are yours. They're not you're not borrowing them from other people. Like I'm pretty based. Merrick is pretty based. I know some of you guys in chat, well, maybe if not all of you in chat are pretty based. Debbie says men are by nature penetrative, women receptive. More than a few boys have been taken to a prostitute for their first experience by their fathers. That's strange to me. That is strange, but I don't know if I could do that for my kids.
So, man, you know, that spirit is inside of you. It really is. That spirit is inside of you. And the thing about being a dude, when you really embrace it, when you're not in the quicksand, when you're mucking around and you're finding out, life is a lot like a dude, the impatience, you got to set that shit aside. Like, for how long will you continue to make yourself miserable? How much of our life will we just accept being miserable? You really
Anybody? How long are you going to accept that? Preach, brother.
really got to ask yourself, is daily life supposed to be this teeter-totter? Just up and down, doubt on the other side, anxiety, fear, and then there's you. Is it really? Or is there going to be something greater? Some just God rock that just falls from the heavens and you just freaking moon. You become a moon, a mooner. You know, you just, man, like, what is this teeter-tottering with these weaker opponents, these weaker enemies? Get behind me, Satan. All this thinking, dude. You gotta set your teeth on these devils. Seriously, this overthinking, everyone trying to get you to overthink.
Yes. We were talking about that in the earlier in the presentation. These people that try to get you to overthink. You know, Merrick and I were talking about this morning. You know, doing kind of a post-mortem on, you know, the past couple of years of our life, and like, yeah, that we had people in our life that were trying to get us to overthink everything and be nervous about shit, be anxious about this, and the whole time we were like, what the fuck are y'all even talking about? It was so infectious that we started worrying about things that we would never even be worried about.
Make you feel like you're not good enough. Fuck all that, man. Put it to the side. Set your teeth on devils.
Yeah.
My favorite scene in Fight Club is when he's in the meeting and he's like, so, he's talking to Edward Norton. The guy's like, so, what do you think about these colors for a new magazine? And Edward Norton turns to him like this. He goes, and there's just blood.
Yeah, I remember that.
You gotta set your teeth on these devils. All right, these purveyors of thought that want to keep you right where you are, man. They don't want you to. They don't want you to break outside of the normal bus. They don't want you to attempt to be who you are. They want to herd you along like sheep, like a good boy that you are. Like you've been raised in school. Raise your hand, ask to go to the bathroom. If you got a boner, hide it because you know you don't want to go up with a boner to speak in front of class. But man, set your teeth on these devils. How long will you allow yourself to be miserable? Why have you trained yourself to be miserable, dude? F all that. It doesn't stand here. Muck around and find out. And the greatest thing, that can really keep you going, man, is you gotta believe that you have weight You have weight. You got salt.
And I'm going to say this, filling up that room, not being afraid to fill up the room with your light. Like when you stop playing small, like he's like saying this in such a clear way. The people who want you to overthink, the people who want you to stay small, the people who want you to not be yourself, set your teeth against those devils. Like, fuck them, for real. I mean, how much of your life did you try to appease people? And Debbie says we have to reach a time when we release that when we realize that spiritual awakening means others won't understand us anymore. And Natalie says we can release it too. It doesn't really matter. Just smile and nod. Look, people are not going to fucking understand you, you spiritual people, you spiritual motherfuckers. People are not going to understand you anymore. Why are you trying to, I'm gonna preach a little bit here. Why are you trying to appeal to people who will never understand you? Why are you trying to be understood by people? They're not trying to understand you. You see, they're not trying to understand you. They want you to go back in the box. They want you to go back to the matrix or the ego or whatever. And I know I got on this treadmill trying to make people understand that a shaman thinks differently than other people. Well, everybody thinks differently, but when you spiritually awaken, right, Debbie, when you spiritually awaken, people just aren't going to understand you. Maybe even other spiritual people won't understand you anymore. And it can be lonely, or you can say, I am exactly where I need to be. I'm exactly where I need to be. I'm not going to try to make people understand anymore. Here's where we do this. I'm going to tell you there's something profound about all of this. Have you heard the saying, seek to understand, not be understood? So if you get into a phase of your life where you can't explain shit anymore, do you know what I mean? It's too difficult to explain things. Well, guess what? You got to shut up and listen. You got to shut up and listen. Shut up and listen. Debbie says they want you to cave into their usual groupthink. And Debbie says, right, Patrick, we don't have to agree. That's perfect. And Natalie said, my daughter bought me a sign that says, I'm under no obligation to make sense to you for my recording area. LOL, she gets me. Absolutely. Absolutely. But I think the profound part of it is eventually we get to a phase in our awakening where it can't be explained to people. It just can't. And we stop speaking. We just don't explain anymore. And it's almost like a spiritual muteness, like we're muted by our own spirituality. Because Lord knows I tried to explain things so long the past few years, and I just stopped. Like I used to spend time trying to make things make sense for people, and they don't want it to make sense. The goal is not for it to make sense. They don't want it to make sense, because if you were to say it to them in a certain way and it were to make sense to them, they would have to change every little fucking thing about their life. And they're just not going to do it. They're just not going to do it. Megan says, I love that, Natalie. That's going to be my motto from now on. All right, guys, it's come to the end of the stream, and I'm going to get off of here. I want to thank you all for joining me today on this live version of the Shaman Patrick Show. Thank you so much for continuing to support this channel, going along with me on my shifting and this journey and being of service. Thank you so very much. If you're still in the chat and you're still listening, can you please just take a moment and share something that you learned today, or that something that is different today for you based on what you heard. I'm going to tell you what's different for me. I am I'm getting dumber about stuff. Every day I feel like I'm getting dumber and dumber and dumber about everything. Marnie says, what is the guy's name in the channel he is listening to? Okay, it is, here I'm going to show you the channel. It is Alicia Long. Elisha Long. Debbie says, thanks, Patrick. We should do this more often. Absolutely. I'm going to eventually transition the Shaman Patrick Show into a live show. So it'll be more live in the future. But for right now, I'm doing it this way. I love you guys so very much. I'm going to get off here. And hello, Megan. Hello.